On this episode, we check out the updated 2021 Volkswagen Atlas. Are the advanced features worth the price? And can it handle our off-road course? That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. For the 2021 model year, Volkswagen's popular Atlas 3-row crossover has received a number of updates, including front and rear styling, which Volkswagen says is bolder than before. We'll let you be the judge of that. It also has some styling changes inside, as well as an upgraded list of standard features, all the while still maintaining a starting price of $31,545. The model we're looking at today is the SEL Premium V6, which is the top-end trim. As you see it here, you're looking at $50,164 US, including destination. Under the hood is a time-tested 276 horsepower, 3.6-liter direct-injected V6. It's connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission, powering all 4 wheels with a 5th-generation Borg-Warner Haldex all-wheel drive system. New for 2021, you can finally get the 4Motion all-wheel drive system with the 235 horsepower 4-cylinder turbo. This would bring down the price of all-wheel drive by $1,300. But we think the bulk of buyers will continue to pick the V6 in this category. Don't get too excited by those twin exhausts. The metallic outlets are actually fake. The real ones are tucked under the bumper. EPA rates our V6 test car at 16 miles to the gallon in the city and 22 on the highway. Towing capacity is 5,000 pounds. In the back is one of the highlights of the Atlas: space. Lots of it. 20.6 cubic feet with the third row up, 55.55 cubic feet behind the second row. Fold all the seats down for up to 96.8 cubic feet of total storage capacity. Still not quite as much as the Honda Passport, which breaks 100 cubic feet, but significantly more than the best-selling Ford Explorer or Toyota Highlander. Under the floor of this Atlas is a Fender subwoofer and a spare tire. Folding the third row seats back into position is easy with pull straps. The second row has ample space for an adult. I measure 6'1" and have lots of head and leg room. The seat also adjusts forward and back, and the panorama sunroof lets in lots of light. It's actually a very pleasant place to hang out. There's also a fold-down armrest with cup holders and adjustable aircon with seat warmers. Power is courtesy of dual USB jacks. This SEL Premium even gets sunscreens, which is a nice touch. The third row is surprisingly usable. For short trips, this would be just fine for an adult. Up front is a nice collection of leather, metal, and wood-style trim. Volkswagen says it's been updated, but I think only a current owner of an older model could really tell the difference. At this trim level, you get lots of stuff, including Volkswagen's Virtual Cockpit Digital Dash, which is really cool. The 10-way power-adjustable seats have memory and are covered in leather. They also include heating and ventilation. Volkswagen has come a long way in the past few years with their infotainment system. The version in this Atlas is fast, easy to use, and it sports nice graphics. Using the built-in navigation to find the nearest Starbucks pulls up a map on either the digital dash or the center screen. Plug in a mobile device with the included USB for either Apple CarPlay or Android Auto support. Note that the maps from your mobile do not integrate into the virtual cockpit system. Unlike the built-in navigation, these maps stay on the center screen. Shifting into reverse turns on the rear view camera with parking sensors and surround view. The Atlas is loaded with safety tech: LED lighting, collision mitigation with pedestrian detection, adaptive cruise control with lane detection, which we'll look at later, rear traffic alerts, parking assist, and blind spot monitors. The Atlas does include a number of powertrain settings, including Eco, Normal, Snow, and Off-Road modes. Since this vehicle uses a Haldex-based all-wheel drive system, it will try to keep power to the front wheels as much as possible. This helps with fuel economy. However, when slip is detected, it will very quickly push up to half of available torque to the rear axles. The latest version of this system is pretty smart, and we have high hopes for the Atlas on our off-road course, which we'll test out later. But first, let's see how this vehicle compares against its rivals when rolling on the highway. Gotta admit, I really like the sound of that V6. See if we can jump ahead of this truck. Yeah, no problem with a V6. Now this engine puts out 276 horsepower, and yeah, it's torquey throughout the range, because of course it doesn't rely on a turbo. Now, here we are, it's miserable weather today in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm gonna go ahead and set up adaptive cruise control. I'm gonna go ahead and activate it. Hands off the wheel. You know, doing a great job. It's keeping centered, it's not complaining about the rain, which is one of the challenging bits for some of these systems, is they get really grumpy sometimes when visibility becomes obscured. This one is having no problem with really heavy rain outside. You know, if you look at the features here, it does have blind spot warning, and I don't really care for those little icons in the corner. I prefer it to be a bolder piece on the inside, because like in this case, I'm looking out there and it's covered in rain. I definitely prefer to see it right in here where the weather doesn't become an issue. Okay, so we are heading up course up to the mountains. The last vehicle I took up here was the Volvo XC90. You saw that episode last week. However, I actually filmed it yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see, because the conditions are going to be shockingly similar between these two vehicles. And the Volvo is definitely a step up from this vehicle in terms of luxury. But is it really a step up in capability? Well, since the Volvo didn't do that great off-road, I'm kind of hoping it's not. I'm expecting more out of this, primarily because it's a more traditional Borg-Warner all-wheel drive system, borrowed from the smaller, sportier Volkswagens, but also it has that big, beefy V6 in the front. But the question is, how quick is this V6 on a vehicle this size? The weather is clearly very, very wet, so this is going to be a wet time, which is going to be slightly slower than a dry time, simply because of grip issues. 0 to 60. From a stop, I'm in sport mode, engine mapping's in sport, and 3, 2, 1, go. A little bit of a spin there, grip's an issue. It's obviously very wet outside. 3.28 on the 30, and 8.95 on the 60. You know, it's just not that fast. It's a big vehicle, and 0 to 60, you know, that's what we're looking at. Let's go ahead and dip into the woods and see how this thing does off-road. See if that torque and this Borg-Warner all-wheel drive system is going to do any good for us. You can hear the gear in the back. Okay, this is kind of fun. Now, there's lots of different settings here on the vehicle. Right now I'm in sport mode. Let me go ahead and switch over into off-road mode. What that's going to do is it's going to guarantee power to the back, because it's really primarily a front-wheel drive vehicle. But when I put it into off-road mode, it's going to put at least some power to the back, up to 50% of total power. It is one of those systems where it basically has to detect slip for the most part, but with off-road mode, it puts some back there all the time. It is not a rear bias system. This isn't anything fancy. It's really a safety-oriented system. But it has an off-road mode, so we're definitely going to see how well not only can it push the power to the back, but can it move power around between the different wheels. The suspension is really good for these surfaces, actually. This is a pretty rough road, covered in gravel, and I'm not feeling abused. It helps that the wheels aren't massive 22s also. The back power is a little unpredictable, but I do feel solid on the road. I'm not feeling like this is all front-wheel drive. The engine sounds great though. I really like the steering wheel too. The leather is just feels so good. Can we rotate it all with the power? Oh yeah, no, you can get, with momentum through the corner, you lay in the throttle, that extra bit of power can turn you around, which really I think is, you know, that's what you want in a car like this. Nicely done. Okay, time to hit the hill climb and see how it does. So we're already in off-road mode. This is the first obstacle. The funny thing here is that this typically isn't a challenge for any of the crossovers I bring up here, except for maybe like the Honda HR-V. However, the Volvo XC90 T8 had a horrible time. Now it's possible that the rocks are extra slippery because it hasn't rained much lately, and then last couple days we've had tons of rain. So this will be the litmus test to see, is it the rocks, or was the Volvo all-wheel drive system just really not great? So we have 8 inches of ground clearance, so we should be okay to clear all the rocks. That is really slippery. But this vehicle, it can push power to the back, no problem. See, that's how it should be done. Yes, it's slippery, but no, it should not be as difficult as the Volvo made it. But the real challenge is what's coming next. Here we are at the Rocky Hill Climb. There's not a lot we can do to set up the vehicle. We have different modes, and we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and switch it into off-road mode. That'll put maximum amount of power to the back, which is about 50%, depending on conditions. What will be interesting to see is if there's any individual wheel braking to redistribute power back through the system to wheels with grip, because this has open differentials. So if it doesn't have wheel braking, that means all the power is going to go out of the wheel that has no resistance. What we want to see is braking on spinning wheels, which then redistributes that power back into the system, which then will put it to the wheels that have grip. It's called brake vectoring, and it's pretty cool. We've seen it on a lot of vehicles in this class. The Subaru Ascent has it. The Toyota Highlander has it. Now let's see if the Volkswagen Atlas has it. Now, you have to be careful, of course. Standard disclaimers apply. This has no underbody protection. It also has 20-inch wheels wrapped in all-season radials. It also only has 8 inches of ground clearance, which is actually pretty good for the class. The class winner is, of course, the Subaru Ascent. That one has 8.7 inches of ground clearance. Does that little 0.7 make a difference? Well, I think we're about to find out. So this is the first major test. Right here, I am putting, okay, right here, the only weight on the vehicle is on this wheel and that wheel. This wheel is in a hole. That wheel is also in a hole. That means that we're on a slant. We have uneven power distribution. This should be where that power distribution, brake vectoring really comes into play. And let's lay in the throttle and see if the system figures it out. Whoa, oh, 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 it got us through it. Okay, now let's move on to the next bit. This is where it gets kind of craggy. Here we go. Yep. Oh, that's the parking things. Let's go ahead and turn those off. How do I turn those off? Boom, there. Although I would like a surround view camera. I know this has one. How can I activate it? Car? Oh, off-road information, that's right. I can see current slant. Oh, come on, you gonna get over this? Oh, there we go. This is really slippery. So I'm at 2,000 feet. I'm currently at, oh, those are wheels. I wonder, does it have slant? No slant? Nope, just wheel position. It doesn't have angle. Well, this is about 20 degrees. Let's go ahead and keep moving up. Okay, now we have to decide to the right of the rock, which is more difficult, or to the left. Definitely going to go to the right, because I think this is up to it. So if I hit this line at enough of an angle, I should be able to lift that back left wheel up pretty high. Okay, there we go. Power, 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 and it got through it. Okay, so the Volkswagen Atlas is as capable as you need a 3-row crossover to be. Is it as capable as, say, the Toyota Highlander or the Subaru Ascent? I don't really think so. I think those two vehicles are better suited for these kind of conditions. However, if you find yourself going up a trailhead and it starts to get a little challenging, this will do just fine. There we go. One more thing to test here before we go to the next leg, and that is hill descent control. It is built into the off-road system. We're still in off-road, so it should just grab. 5 miles an hour, that's quicker than I want. Let's go to manual and go to 1. There we go. It is holding me at 1 mile per hour. That is how it should be. Nicely done, Volkswagen. Because it's an off-road mode, hill descent control is automatically enabled, and now all of a sudden it's starting to free roll. How inconsistent can you be? Just be consistent. Okay, put my foot on the brake, so now it's crawling again. But it only does it for a few minutes, apparently. Wish it wouldn't just decide. Let's see if it just decides. Again, foot's off the brake. It's just going. I'm at 3 miles per hour for some reason now. And it's still rolling at 3. Two, 3. Huh. But now let's see how it does in sand. And for that, I'm just gonna have to find a beach. A very, very wet beach, because it's raining hard. The holes where the Volvo dug in were still there, so I hopped out and cleaned them up. Now, on with the test. So this did pretty good on the rock climb. Now let's see how well it does in the sand. Now, with sand testing, got to be really tricky. I don't have a escape rig, I don't have a tow rope, so I'm gonna put this in a situation where I can get stuck and unstuck without, like, you know, getting stranded here on this rainy lakeside location. So going down, this is not going to be a problem. This should be super easy. It is going to test that approach angle, however, and this is nice soft sand, so if it hits, it's not going to cause damage. Okay, that's pretty good. And then we go through. Now let's climb out with some slick conditions. Pushes power around. Ah, that worked pretty good. Now the fascinating thing here is that that is just regular drive mode. I'm not yet in off-road. And it still managed to get me out of that situation. But now let's do the tricky approach. This is the one where the Volvo T8 almost got stuck. Let's go ahead and we'll put it into off-road mode, which should keep power to the back. I'm gonna approach, go through the river. Hill descent control is automatically taking over braking, so I'm doing a 1 mile per hour in. I'm gonna stick to the left, which is softer stuff, on purpose. In fact, I still see the holes from where the Volvo XC90 was. I'm going to turn off that parking thing because that's not good. Okay, let's see. Now this is right where the Volvo started to dig in with the front tires. What does this one do? No problem at all. And that's how it should be. The Volvo just wasn't good. But this one, yeah, does what you need. So that's the 2021 Volkswagen Atlas. It does have some updated looks for 2021, though it's still basically the same vehicle as before. However, that vehicle is very capable, comfortable, and has a lot of great features that I think families are looking for. So if you're in the market for a 3-row crossover, I think you definitely have to consider the Atlas by Volkswagen. What do you think of this vehicle? Would you get this, or would you get the Volvo XC90 T8 that we just reviewed last week? Post a comment below. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching.